Hey, it's Tom from Texas, and it's time for another floppy deep dive. And today I'm going to share with you the items I picked up in my recent weekend retro Commodore 64 hunt. I got an original system from a Canadian. So I've got my first Canadian Commodore, and he had the system since 1983 and had some really cool features. I get to dive into the different floppies and see, which kind of crack groups were up in that Canadian region and what he was seeing during that time. So I always love to get someone's original system with their original floppies and their whole collection. So let's check it out. So this is the Breadbox C64 that I picked up, that I call my Canadian Commodore. And when I looked at the back to see, I was disappointed to see that it's really not a true Canadian Commodore, because it was made in the US. And I recently learned in that latest video that I saw at 8-Bit Show and Tell, where if it had a C on the serial number, that it was made in Canada. So not quite, maybe more tongue-in-cheek that this is my Canadian Commodore collection, because it truly did come from a Canadian. It's just that this Commodore 64 that I got here is made in the good old US of A. So let's take a look at this Hitachi monitor. It's got the power on and the contrast button in the front. I believe this drops down, and in there you've got your vertical hold, your color, your tint, and your brightness. So typical. And then on the back, let's see if I can turn this around without breaking it. So, as you can see in here on the back side of it, Hitachi, looks like it was August of 1983 that he got it. Like I was telling you, it's just basically this video in and audio in for this cable here. Your typical two plugs, your video and your audio in, and that's all that's back here. So it's just got your video in, it's got your audio in, and that is it. Nothing else back here for it to use. So let's go ahead and get that turned back around. So that's all there really is to this monitor, but it's just very, very sharp for 1983, and I thought it was really cool to add to my retro collection, because it's definitely retro, and I even still got the manual, which looks, to be in good shape. So really pleased with this monitor. So I was going to show you some of the originals that I picked up on this last weekend, and the first one I'm going to start off with EasyScript 64. I've never owned the original EasyScript. Always had just a copy of it, and so anyway, pretty cool to have the original on there. Back in the day, sold for $99.95. So $100 used to get you EasyScripts. Now I know why I downloaded and had cracks of everything. So the other thing I got in here is Cracker Jacks. Cracker Jacks is Protection Buster. This is volume 5. And Blast That Disc Protector. That came with it. And then I got this book. And this is the book here, Cracker Jacks Revealed. Looks almost like something that he put together himself. I assume it has different games in here. Cracker Jacks technical information, Cracker Jacks instructions. Cracker Jacks is one of the easiest utility to operate that you'll ever own. Each perimeter has been extensively tested, and we are convinced that absolutely no bugs exist in our software. However, there is a fact you should be aware of. Sometimes a major software house will release several versions of the same program. The only difference between the version being the copy protection scheme used. If you follow these instructions and still are unable to back up your software, odds are that the version you're trying to copy differs from the version that we use to create the specific parameter. Fortunately, this is fairly uncommon practice. So it's like different games. Here's Infiltrator by Mindscape. Bop and Wrestle by Mindscape. So just detailed information on how to copy these original games. So anyway, it's just always something cool, a little bit of different treasures that you never seen before or owned before that you pick up along these lines on these weekend pickups, and I just will take time to dive into it, but just wanted to share that since I was showing the Cracker Jacks floppy. So let's go back to these floppies. So I've got Cracker Jacks right here. This one is a disc aligner by William Covesy, and it's copyrighted, marking it LTD, and it shows it's in Thornhill, Ontario. So definitely something I've never seen before. Again, with this guy being out of Canada, I'm getting to see some cool stuff that I've never owned or saw before because it's just a different region altogether, me being in Texas. So I got something called Over the Rainbow. I'm not really sure what that even is. The World's Greatest Baseball Game. I've got a different copy of this, but this is really good. If you look at it, this guy really took care of his stuff. Even the sleeves look really nice. Computer Awareness. I'm not sure what that is. The Cosmic Tunnels. Datamos game. This one's the Santa game. Also from Toronto, Ontario. Never seen that, don't know where it is. We'll have to check that out. You can tell this one's been used quite a bit. He's a fan of the golf simulator. This is Leaderboard. Here's Touchdown Football by ENA. I didn't have that one. Always got to have a Mastertronic thrown in there. This is Slam Dunk. We've got Bop and Wrestle, which I mentioned earlier in the Cracker Jacks. Here's the original of it. Here's something called Star Battles. Again, not sure where that is. Must have been local to him. Again, Ontario. Here's Family Feud. And here's another Cracker Jacks that came with it. So those are all the originals that I got. I did get 3 cases here of different ones. Someone mentioned they've never seen where the Tandy wasn't broke right here. I never owned this before, but it makes sense with this clip being so huge. Always clipping it and unclipping it. I'm sure it wasn't the best design of all. And in here, I got, it's for the Leaderboard Golf. It's the adapter you need to go through their protection that they used at the top, or at the time. And then if you look in here, you can see, basically it looks like he numbered his floppies 1 through whatever. And like I said, the cool thing about it is these copies are from a different area. So from being from Canada, I'm hoping I'm going to be seeing different crack groups, different stuff that I haven't seen that's not like the same what I have in my original collection. Just assuming that things have, changed per region and what he's getting. So I haven't really had a chance to dive into any of these yet, guys, but definitely will floppy deep dive all these one day. Gives me lots to talk about and a lot to try, and just to see the different copies that are out there and which group he was getting most of his stuff from. There's stuff that I haven't seen before, and maybe it's just I've never had a floppy from Dasco, and I don't know if Dasco's Canadian. Yep, sure enough, printed in Canada. So it's cool stuff like that, with it being a Canadian Commodore, that I could just see these different things, like I said, never seen before, of who cracked it and doing different things. So bunch of cracks in here, bunch of cool things. Looks like he took really good care, labeled his stuff really well, numbered his floppies really well. So this is one of them that I got. Here's another floppy case that I got from him in this deal. So again, set up the same way. He's got his different markers in here, got his disc labeled, gunship, different stuff. So a lot of stuff to go through and check out in here. And then I had one more that was included in here. and this one jumped straight to 200. So there's 100 dip floppies somewhere that he had that's no longer in his collection, or he doesn't know where it is, or he traded to someone, because it goes from 100 jumps to 200. So unfortunately I didn't get those 100 floppies, but these are plenty to go through and different things, see with the different writings, what they, you know, people always have these little papers stuck in stuff. So just love the local buys where you could check and find out stuff and see how people back in the 80s, how they did their collection, and love seeing the whole entire collection. Never seen a case like this before. It's blue, has the little hook that you could hook on here with the latch and the little handle on here. So nice little floppy case, again, to add to my collection, and definitely will be going through these floppies and checking them out. So also included in the collection is I got these boxes of floppies that come with it. It just has his name on it. It looks like there could be some that are just, says empty, could be blanks, but he's got notes in here too. So definitely some stuff I need to go through and see what he's got in there. But I got quite a few boxes. Let me see. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different diskette boxes that weren't in the case, where I'm not sure what all he has tied up in it or what all he has copied to these, but another thing to dive into. It's kind of like a treasure hunt, guys, when you're going through these things. There's Tandy. Again, a bunch more floppies in here in these Tandies. Not sure if he's got anything on it or if they're just blank. This one here, Aero Disc. I never heard of Aero Disc, so I'm going to guess this is distributed again in Canada. If not completely satisfied with this disc after 15 days, simply return it to Aero Sales, Kingston Road, Scarborough, and Ontario for a full refund. So you got 15 days to decide if you're not completely satisfied. What a weird amount of days. Anyway, so Aero Disc, Canadian. Again, he's got stuff all through here. I don't know if it's part of that collection of 100 floppies that I didn't see or he has put in there, but the newsroom. So just a bunch of cool stuff to dig through, and like I said, got quite a few of these boxes to go through. That was part of this collection. And that's all the floppies that I had. So let's look at some of the oddities that I picked up on here. So one of the things I got was this fan, and looks like they took the screws off for the cover here with the fan, and it looks like it's a makeshift fan maybe they put together. I'm not sure what they were cooling. Maybe they were cooling down their drive or the 1541. I'm not sure how they had it set. Had to go with the switches here. Yeah. I'm not sure what they had it exactly attached to, but this came along with it. Maybe they didn't use it for anything. Maybe the guy just gave it to me to get it out of his house. Now he also gave me this adapter here, and he told me this was something they made back in the 80s, homemade adapter and I'm not exactly quite sure how it works. If one of you guys is much smarter than me knows, you could share with me, but he said he had it hooked up so I believe he said they had a steering wheel hooked up to it, and they could hook up multiple people, so they had this contraption to play I think with multiple people, or like I said, with a steering wheel or something, and it's just a regular plug-in for the joystick. But this is definitely homebrew, something that they put together. And if you did something like this when you were a kid, let me know exactly what you did with it, because I just want to share just one of the oddities that came with this collection. And one of the things that I thought I'd never see again or get again, I had one as a kid, but then, you know, I think my kids got into it or something. I haven't seen it forever, but you know, these hole punchers are getting rare and rare. Well, I guess it's a floppy puncher, a floppy notcher. And this one came with the collection. So I got this one with this collection. I got another one from another collection that I didn't think I was going to get. And then I got another one from another collection, picking up these local ones. So they are out there. People have them with them and no one really thinks about it. But I went from not having any when I first started getting into this again to now I'm up to 3. So anyway, thought that was interesting. That always happy to have another notcher, and how rare these are. You know, I think they go for like $50 these days on eBay. Anyway, you know, everything's overpriced on eBay. All right, so I did get some books, so I just wanted to mention the books that I got. So I got this one here, Commodore 64 games. Then I also got this Out of the Inner Circle, a hacker's guide to computer security by the Cracker, the teenage computer wizard apprehended by the FBI. When I posted this by accident, I didn't really, I just took a picture of stuff sitting on these books. This I'm getting a lot of reaction to. So apparently a lot of people have read this book and got them interested into different things. But anyway, I'm definitely going to check this book out. But if you read it, share with me your thoughts about it. Then of course you got the Programmer's Reference Guide. Not sure what version this is. This is a first edition, 5th printing, 1983. So got the Commodore Reference Guide. Got the good old 1541 disk drive user's guide. Got this basic from the ground up book here. Then I also got Pet CBM Personal Computer Guide 2nd edition. And last, he gave me Hands-On Basic with Pet. So anyway, those are the books that I got along with this collection. But right now I'm going to try out the 1541 and the Commodore 64 on the monitor and just make sure that's working. So let's give it a shot. Turn on 1541 and the Commodore, and let's see. We do. We've got screen. 1541's loading up, solid green light. We got the red light on the Commodore and the blue screen, so everything looks good there. Let's do a directory. So disk drive looks like it's working all right too, the 1541. Got the old school monitor. Let's try to load up a game here. I'm going to load up Dig Dug. So everything seems to be working. This doesn't look like it's going to be a project. It actually looks like this is a good system. I thought this was pretty cool that he gave me. Just get more of your Commodore computer. The lightning coming out of the fingers. Need to do something with that. So one of the things, or two of the things that I've got in this collection were some joysticks. These are two that I've never had before. So I got this one. It's a Wico. Is it Wico or Wico? Wico. Wico. Wico or Wico?
You stick a wacko wacko when it's a Wico.
Wow, I'm scoring at home like I've never scored. I'm wacko over Wico.
You stick a wacko wacko when it's a Wico.
They're as tough as the joysticks at the arcade.
He's wacko over Wico.
Wico, the only authentic arcade joysticks. The most durable, the most accurate, the fastest controls money can buy.
I've been practicing. Yeah.
Wacko over Wico. You stick a wacko wacko when it's a Wico.
Anyway, got this one here. So we'll test that, put that in one of the ports. Then I got this one here, same brand. But again, different setup. So let's plug these in and give this game a shot. I'm going to move this power supply out of the way. Love my new brick. as you can see, everything works. He's got like a, I don't know what they did. They made their own fast loader. Basically took the EEPROM and put it inside the cartridge. There's the reset button built into it, but it's just the basic, looks like Epic's fast load cartridge that they have, but this came along with it. And then I got the C2N cassette unit. So I lost mine from when I was a kid, so it's cool to have another one. I'll test that out later to see if that works. So far everything that I've tested has worked just fine. And then it did get some cassettes that he had. You can tell it's Canadian. Look how they spell center. I don't know. I just think it's cool that it's, you know, Canadian. And came with Flight Simulator 2. I think everybody owned a copy of that. This is my third one. Every time I pick up another haul over the weekend, I always seem to come home with another version of Flight Simulator 2. So there's another one. And then also came with this Introduction to Basic Part 1 for the Commodore 64. In here, here's a interesting, it's the Commodore 64 retail price list. So this is all Canadian. Let's open it up, see what we got on here, the cost of some stuff. So moving in here to the computers, we've got the C16 at $199.95, and I won't read all these. The Commodore 64, $429.95. There's the 1541s, $429. 231 single, 101 single. I'm not sure what that is. Never owned any of that. I'm sure you guys are aware what it is. The cables cost, printers cost, accessories cost. Easy Script back in the day cost $99.95. Good Lord. They were proud of that Easy Script. And over here, Pet Speed 64 disc, $149.95. Some Commodore educational software, different prices. Pilot, $129.95. Anyway, I thought it was just pretty cool, checking it out. Again, Canadian prices on all this, but something that just came along with it that I thought was pretty cool piece of history. On the front, it just says the retail price list, Commodore Business Machines Limited, November 28th, 1984. So, pretty cool. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Can you believe I only paid $200 for this whole system? So I've got the bread bin, got the 1541, got the really cool retro monitor, got the floppies, you know, everything that I showed you in this video, all for 200 bucks. So I think it was a really good deal. You let me know if you think it is. I always get that one guy who always says, well, I got that system back for 50 bucks back there when back in 2000. Well, sorry, it's not 2000 anymore. And this retro stuff is really hot right now. So enjoying going out there, doing the hunts, trying to find good deals. And I hope you enjoyed seeing everything that I got with this Commodore retro loot that I picked up. And until next time, thank you for joining me on another Floppy Deep Dive.